I've been stuck in my dorm all semester trying to keep my head above water, clawing at my face in the middle of the night as I struggle to keep my eyes glued to my computer. When finals week finished, I was eager to get out of there, but I didn't receive the homecoming I was expecting, and the reality of my new situation is slowly killing me inside. I flew home the week after Christmas. Carry-on in hand, I walked into the airport lobby, expecting to see my family waiting for me, anxious to greet me after months away, but nobody was there. I stood there scanning the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of a familiar face, but the more I searched, the more disappointment built up in my chest. Clutching my phone, I stared at the screen awaiting a text, a call, any sign that would let me know someone was coming. That sign never came. It had been about 30 minutes after deboarding when I decided to call my dad, but his number went straight to voicemail. It was odd, my dad never had his phone off. I called my mom, and after a few rings, the pre-recorded message played from the other end. The robotic voice filled me with sadness, the tone disingenuous and cold. "We're sorry, this number is unavailable." Knowing that they would eventually call back, I took a seat in the waiting area. An hour came and went and I was still awaiting their call. I tried Dad's phone again and perked up when the line actually rang this time. 3 rings later, my dad's throaty voice came through the speaker. "Hello?" he answered. "Did you forget something?" I said, annoyed. There was a pause as I heard my dad's breathing distance itself from his phone. I pictured him playfully looking at the screen. His breathing returned to the speaker and I patiently awaited the punchline. I rolled my eyes when it came. "I'm sorry. Who is this?" he said. I should have known this was one of his pranks. "I'm at the airport. Are you coming to get me?" I asked. A second pause came, this time lingering, fermenting in the palpable tension. "I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong number," he finally responded. He's never known when to end a ruse. "Dad!" I exclaimed. The third pause was just as long and only ended when I heard the jingle telling me that the call had ended. I was stunned. When I called back, the line rang but he didn't answer. I angrily ended the call and dialed again. Once again, the robotic voice greeted me instantly. I was fuming. The Uber ride home was not a happy endeavor. A scowl plastered on my face the whole time as the views of town felt sour under the ridiculous circumstances. As soon as I walked through the door, my dad would be on the floor laughing at the minor inconvenience he caused me. It would be the highlight of his week. The car came to a stop outside our house, the familiar lettering on the mailbox bringing slight relief in the reality that was my life. I was finally home. Luggage in hand, I walked up to the door and gripped the knob, but when I tried turning it, it wouldn't budge. It was the last thing I needed. My fury spilled out through my knuckles as I bashed my hand on the door. "Dad? Open the door, I'm here," I yelled. There was movement in the window, the curtains swaying behind the blinds. Someone was watching me from the other side. I waved and the blinds fluttered closed. They were really outdoing themselves this time. Footsteps walked across the floor on the other side of the walls and stopped just on the opposite end of the door. The knob unlatched and the door swayed on its hinges, letting out an anguished creak. Someone was peering out of the small crack, their gaze dismissive and cold. "Hi, how can I help you?" they said. I was clenching my fists, the joints in my hand snapping under the pressure. "Ha ha, very funny," I said as I touched the door and tried pushing it aside. My dad's eyes panicked as the door pushed against his hands, and he fought my push with one of equal strength. "Wow, wow, wow. What do you think you're doing?" he yelled. Taken aback by his sudden conviction, I cowered back, stepping off the welcome mat. I'd never heard my dad yell. He opened the door the rest of the way, revealing a wooden bat in his hand, his knuckles white with intent. His shoulders were stiff and hands shaky. He looked ready to use it, but the fear in his eyes hoped he wouldn't have to. "Dad?" I questioned. The quizzical look he gave me was gut-wrenching. "It's me, Ben. Your son," I said. My mom peered over his shoulder. "Honey, what's going on?" she asked. When her eyes met me, she yelped. Without breaking his connection with me, my dad answered her question. "This person says their name is Ben." He paused, still calculating the situation himself. "Our son. Horror washed over my mom's expression, and the words snagged in her throat. My dad finally glanced over at her, confirming the apparent absurdity of the situation. When their eyes returned, my dad raised the bat, shoving it in my chest. "Look, I don't know if you're crazy, having some kind of a breakdown, or just some stalker, but you are not Ben," he said. Disgust fluctuated his voice as he eyed me up and down. "You are not my son." The prank had long outstayed its welcome, and I fought the awkwardness with a giggle, but tears began forming in my eyes. Crackling emotion accompanied the words that left my mouth. "Mom, Dad, this isn't funny anymore." My dad bared his teeth, a primal display of anger, a premonition of violence. His jaw unlatched and I saw the fury start to wallow up from his chest, but before he could say anything, a chilling voice drifted from inside the house. "Dad, what's going on?" I asked.